Coming up on Vegas Nation Gameday, can the Raiders keep the win streak alive?
Just because we won last week or the week before doesn't guarantee anything going forward, and we know that.
They'll host an AFC West rival in a Week 13 showdown. Raiders fast takes and smart coverage coming up right now on Vegas Nation Gameday.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Gameday. Presented by DNR House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm your Vegas Nation host, Cassie Soto, here at Raiders headquarters. The team is back at home on Sunday to host the Los Angeles Chargers. This game could be a pivotal one because the Raiders aren't out of the race just yet. Taking a look at the AFC West standings, the Chiefs are atop the leaderboard at 9-2. Los Angeles is 6-5. Then you have the Raiders at 4-7, and rounding out the division are the Broncos at 3-8. Let's get to this AFC West matchup, starting with our opening drive, brought to you by Capriotti's. Make your game day extraordinary with Capriotti's. Order now. Joining me now is Raiders beat writer for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vinny Bonsignor. Vinny, some good news for the Raiders defense this week as cornerback Nate Hobbs returned to practice. We saw him on the field this week. He's, of course, been missing since week 5, breaking his hand in that game versus the Chiefs. How badly could this Raiders defense, this Raiders secondary, use a Nate Hobbs?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're getting a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback back right in the nick of time. He's a difference maker, and the Raiders defense is far and few between on difference makers, obviously Max Crosby. But Nate Hobbs, is kind of that sort of player from his position. So on a defense that needs as many guys that can make plays as possible, getting Nate Hobbs back is a huge deal.
Yeah. Well, looking at the Raiders offense now, Josh Jacobs, of course, coming off of that 303 total yard game, winning award after award, some slime also, I believe. And he could have an opportunity to very well have another big day against the Chargers. We know that in the last 5 of their last 6 games, the Chargers have allowed over 150 rushing yards. Could we see another big day from Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, the Chargers are bad against the run. That's the point of the whole deal. Now, what they do pretty well is once that gets into the 20 in the red zone, they do a pretty good job of tightening it up there and knuckling it down and making sure teams don't score as many touchdowns when they're down there. So that's the trick for the Raiders. I think they're going to get yards in this game, whether it's in the run game or the pass game, chunk yards. The Chargers give up a lot of yards. The key is when the Raiders get in the red zone, which I think they'll get, can they make sure they're scoring touchdowns rather than field goals or just coming away empty-handed?
Yeah. Well, this, of course, will be a Week 1 matchup. We know the Chargers came away victorious in SoFi there in that early September game. A lot has happened for both teams now entering Week 13. If you just look back at that game and where both teams are now, what would you say are the biggest differences that could change the outcome now for this game on Sunday?
I think the Raiders are just a better team, and they have a better understanding of who they are right now, and there's more chemistry. They're deeper into the playbook. Remember, that was the first game in Josh McDaniels' era. The Raiders weren't quite there from a playbook perspective, a chemistry perspective, and it hurt them, especially late in the game when they couldn't come up with a drive to win the game. That's a 24-19 game. You score a touchdown late in the game, you win the game. Now, all these weeks later, they are a more cohesive team with better chemistry and I think a better feel for who they are and what their strengths are. And as a result, and we've seen this the last couple of weeks, they've done a better job in those critical situations, being on the same page, doing the right thing, making the right plays, and the right play individually, which was personified in Josh Jacobs' 86-yard touchdown run. So they're just better off from that perspective. And I kind of figured the way things usually go with the Chargers and Raiders, and this season in the NFL in general, is probably going to be a close game, and it's going to come down to who can make those plays late in the game. And the Raiders have done it the last 2 weeks. Can they continue it on Sunday?
Flip the Field, brought to you by South Point Sportsbook. Download the app at southpointsports.com. Hey everybody, it's time to take a look at the other side of this matchup in Week 13 with the Chargers. It's Ed Graney, our Review Journal sports columnist, joining me now. Ed, first we have to talk about Keenan Allen's return, what kind of impact he had in Week 12, and will he have a larger impact in Week 13?
This is a big boost for Justin Herbert at quarterback. Like you said, Keenan Allen just working himself back in. If not, you've got to look at guys like Joshua Palmer, Jason Moore, DeAndre Carter, Michael Bandy, guys like that. to come through for Justin Herbert. But believe me, if it's up to Justin Herbert, he like his two main guys, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, on that field on Sunday against the Raiders.
Ed, when you look at the secondary in this matchup, they've got some prime players that have made a very large impact with the Chargers and also picked off Derek Carr 3 times in their first meeting. How do you think they kind of see the field and how they'll try to make the most of their opportunities in Week 13?
Well, they rely on guys like Derwin James, Drew Tranquill, Asante Samuel Jr., like you said. Listen, it's going to be up to guys up front from the, Sebastian Joseph days, from the Morgan Foxes, and even from the Khalil Macks to get pressure on Derek Carr so those guys in the back end can have opportunities to make plays. Derek Carr had 3 picks the first time these guys played. They can bring a lot of pressure from a lot of different areas. And with those kind of skill guys in the secondary, the Raiders better be real careful. They need a huge day from their offensive line, because if you let guys like Khalil Mack get off, you're going to have a long day. So, yeah, those guys in the back end, James, Tranquill, Samuel Jr., they could have a great day if there's pressure up front and Derek Carr becomes skittish in the pocket.
Josh Jacobs officially questionable for the Raiders a week after his big breakout game against the Seahawks. One of several players listed on the injury report. I'm Adam Hill. Brandon Bolden also in the backfield with Josh Jacobs. He's questionable this week as he continues to work through some injuries. 2 players out for this week for the Raiders. One, Jesper Horsted, still in concussion protocol. And on the defensive line, Kendall Vickers, back injury. He was not able to participate the last 2 days in practice. He will miss the game as well. Several other questionable players, including Denzel Perriman, the linebacker, had a wrist injury, scared some people with a tweet on Friday morning. Turns out it was just a song lyric. No concerns about Denzel Perriman's long-term future with that injury. Lester Cotton, also questionable for the game, offensive lineman, as is Andrew Billings, who was carted off last week, the defensive tackle, but he's been able to work his way back in, is questionable for the game. Seems like he's trending in the right direction, but they might exercise some caution with him. Mike Williams on the other side, wide receiver for the Chargers. He is out of this game. That means more for Josh Palmer as their wide receiver core starts to get back to health, but is not there yet. Keenan Allen, of course, back to full health. He will go for the Chargers. With your injury report, I'm Adam Hill.
D&R House of Diamonds is Las Vegas's elite private office jeweler, the perfect bridge between internet pricing and a traditional brick-and-mortar jewelry store. We specialize in loose diamonds, natural and lab-grown, engagement rings, fashion jewelry, custom design, and jewelry repairs. We operate by appointment in our beautiful offices in the One Summerlin building, downtown Summerlin. Our great relationships with the world's largest diamond wholesalers and our low overhead saves you hundreds, if not thousands, on your purchase.
With Capriotti's, game day is always extraordinary. Fuel your passion with our award-winning cheesesteaks, in-house oven-roasted turkey, and classic subs. Or create a fan frenzy with our catering trays that are perfect for any crew. At Capriotti's, we deliver extraordinary to you.
Listen to the Vegas Nation podcast 3 times a week, featuring Vinny Bonsignor and Sam Gordon to kick off the week with First and 10. In the middle of the week, catch Heidi Fang's takeaways, and rounding out the week on Fridays is Ed Graney and Adam Hill with Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Subscribe to the podcast and check them out as well on VegasNation.com and the Vegas Nation app, all powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Raiders running back Josh Jacobs last week became the 11th NFL player to top 300 yards from scrimmage in a single game while taking the NFL's rushing lead in the process. That's right, the 4th-year running back from Alabama is enjoying a career year, totaling a league-high 1,159 rushing yards on a career-high 5.4 yards per carry. Jacobs is on pace to rush for 1,791 yards this season, which would establish a new club record and eclipse that of his mentor, Marcus Allen, who rushed for 1,759 yards in 1985. What's more is that Jacobs, thanks to a career year as a pass catcher, is also on pace for 2,293 yards from scrimmage. That would rank 12th in NFL history behind Hall of Famers like Allen, Marshall Faulk, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Barry Sanders. Jacobs can pad his total Sunday at Allegiant Stadium against the Los Angeles Chargers club that allows 151.4 rushing yards per game, which ranks 28th among the league's 32 teams. In fact, the Chargers have not allowed fewer than 157 rushing yards in a game since October 17th. And for some context there, they played the Denver Broncos in their historically unproductive offense in that game. Will Jacobs continue his stellar season, or will the Chargers finally hunker down against the run? Find out Sunday. I'm Sam Gordon, and that's the story by the numbers.
Let's go ahead and get a look at this week's lines with sports betting columnist Todd Dewey.
Thanks, Cassie. Well, after back-to-back overtime wins and covers by the Raiders, bettors are back on the silver and black bandwagon. The Chargers opened as 2.5-point favorites over the Raiders in Sunday's game at Allegiant, but the favorite has flipped to the Raiders -1 after sharp bettors backed the home team +2 and +1 at Circa and the South Point sports books, presumably because LA is dealing with an array of injuries. South Point still had the line at Pick'em. 79% of the money is on the Raiders at Caesars Sportsbook, and the ticket and money count at Station Casinos is in favor of the Raiders for the first time in 3 weeks. Consensus total is 49.5. The Westgate Superbook is still at 50. Last time these teams met in Las Vegas, the Raiders beat the Chargers 35-32 in a wild overtime win to clinch a playoff berth, what was arguably the best game of last season. Westgate Superbook odds maker Ed Salmons thinks this is a great spot for the Raiders, who are playing the best ball of the season against a Chargers team that's racked by injuries.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Vegas Nation Game Day. For all of your Raiders news, head on over to vegasnation.com. We hope you enjoyed this preview of the Raiders' Week 13 home matchup versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Sunday's kickoff is set for 1:25 p.m. For our entire Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. Have a great weekend.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Game Day. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.